Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, January 10th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? We've got 3 cards that we're starting our day off with today. So we have here our Magician card in its upright, our 5 of Cups in its reversal, in combination with, I like this, our Ace of Swords in its reversal. So let's talk a little bit about the aspect of energetic surrender, because it's really interesting because one of the things that keeps on coming through right now is recognizing the misinterpretation as it relates to surrender. When we talk about surrender, surrender does not mean giving up, right? Surrender specifically speaks towards allowing for those moments or circumstances or situations to be energetically adaptable, right? Like when we come into that space, and this is what is important about this right now, because this is a lot of that. This is a lot of that heavy work that we're seeing that's occurring right now, and it's saying that it's in 2 parts. Because the first thing that we were recognizing is identifying that the idea of rejection is an illusion, right? Like when we come into that space of rejection, understanding that when we look at the context of rejection, like we're leaving the concept of rejection in 2024. I keep getting the message that rejection was a Pluto in Capricorn thing, right? When we're moving in that space, like Pluto in Aquarius articulates and says that when we're trying to move towards something, and we have to think about this also in relationality to manifestation goals, and also in relationality to the context of the self. When we become too energetically focused on the way something must be, we leave ourselves unavailable to see all of the energetic possibilities that are surrounding us, right? And so even now, there's something about that space, something about widening the lens of perception. And this is something that's very important to keep in mind. When we are manifesting properly, this is why when we talk about manifestation, we say don't get so fixated on the what. Get fixated on the why. Get fixated on the feeling. Get fixated on not what you want, because what you want is energetically immaterial. Pursuing the why as to why one desires something brings us into a better understanding and clarity of the self, right? A good manifestation should not be about getting something. It should be about finding something about oneself along the way, right? This is what we're talking about with this moving away from that, Capricorn and Pluto. Anything it takes to get to an endpoint, whatever it takes, being able to moving away from the alignment of the self in the process, right? This is often what creates an unfulfilling manifestation goal, right? Because if we destroy ourselves, if we move off of our own alignment on the path of trying to attain something, then there's no joy at the end of that journey. There's no feeling of completion, right? There's the weight of energetic loss. There's the loss of the self, right? So we see even now that for a lot of that energy, recognizing and identifying that work, this is what Pluto and Aquarius wants us to understand. It's not about a manifestation goal. It's about the dance, the journey, the joy of the journey, right? Like when you're going on a walk, right? And you want to go see something, right? What's the difference? Why when you create a hike, when you take a nice trip somewhere, you don't just say, I'm going to get there and it's going to stink all until I get there. You create a beautiful journey, right? So a lot of this work that we're seeing even now has to do with a lot of this reorientation, if you will, that's occurring right now across all of the frequencies that amplifies and articulates the joy of the energetic journey, right? That beautiful harmony that we create, not when we look at manifestation as something that we attain, but rather when we plot it on the map of the self. We say, this is what I expect, this is where I hope to end up. But these are all the energetic lessons that I hope to attain and maintain and achieve on the journey of understanding and reaching that destination, right? Healthy manifestation is trip planning. Healthy manifestation is trip planning, okay? And we keep seeing that there's a lot of this right now. So we see even now that, for the energy right now, and this is having a different impact across all of the frequencies. For masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is why I feel like this message is coming through right now, because I just see even now there's a lot of this energy in separation, trying to come out of separation and feeling that energetic anxiety, like working through that fear, working through that uncertainty. I almost feel like some energy being like, it feels absurd to be trying to like concentrate on energetic connection at times like this, right? I can see a lot of that energy, like almost like coming into that, like that shrug here. But this is why we see that for a lot of that energy, I can almost see that energy saying, this one's for me, right? This is the energy that says, I refuse to allow the context outside of the self to move me away from my own trajectory and finding that perfect energetic counterpart for myself. Right? There's a lot of this work that we see as it relates to navigating, right? Navigating the changes outside of self. So we see that a lot of that energy here, this is the energy that really kind of, again, do we move into that space of devastation? Do we move into that state of cynicism, that get down, stay down, that says nothing is going to ever change? What's the point? No, right? Because when we say that, so shall it be. When we say, what's the point? We say, okay, and okay, so that, yeah. You're saying the point has to do with our energetic journey. The point has to do with where we find ourselves, who we are becoming. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy and separation, working through that, this is the energy that says, I let go, right? I let go of what is outside of my own capacity to change. Now, does that mean that the energy, again, gives up? No. This is the energy that says, I let go of what is outside of my context to change. They say, I let go of what is outside of the context of self, the framework of self, right? The architecture of who we identify ourselves to be. And this is why the feminine energy is doing this as they heal wounds of trust, because the feminine energy feels that wound of trust, like someone stuck a dagger in them. This is the feminine that says, I'm not going to walk around holding a dagger out to everyone around me. I'm going to let go of that blade. I'm going to learn how to trust again. I'm going to assume that there's masculine energy that is coming towards me, not in a place of trying to energetically hurt me, but because they too want to heal. They too want to have that. And this is the energy of the feminine, even in separation, that says, my love, my compassion for masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, is not in the assumption that anything I have experienced is what I will experience moving forward. And this is the energy that says, I affirm that I am not the only one that feels that way, right? My divine counterpart would not treat me that way. And the masculine doing the same exact work. This is how the masculine energy is doing that work and saying, I will not lead forth with a false sense of self towards the feminine. Why would I will not lead forth in a space that I feel I have to put that false sense of self forward? Because when I put that false sense of self forward, when I allow the ego to steer, it may take us anywhere we want to go, but it's not me who's driving. It's not me who gets to experience that. I feel like I'm hiding behind the fabrication of the self. I heal the ego because, again, I recognize and identify that if I experience rejection and being in my authentic self, that isn't rejection, because rejection is an illusion. Rejection is an illusion. That modality of leaving myself vulnerable and open to be in my authenticity doesn't mean that I'm not trying. It means that I'm striving. I'm trying to connect the inner child, right? What did we talk about with the magician? Whose hands are the magician holding? One hand holding the inner child. The other hand holding the higher self. When I come into alignment, when I recognize that my inner child and my higher self are in accordance, I leave the availability open for the feminine energy that is in alignment to me to see me and love me there. And this is the masculine that says, I know that the feminine energy that is for me would not require me to be in that illusory space. While for a lot of this energy right now coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing for the energy coming into divine union right now, this is the maturation of energetic surrender. And like a lot of this energy of the magician here is like the shrug being like, what are you going to do? Right? Because this is the energy that says, like, when we have a perception of something that we consider sacred, and another person doesn't. We don't do backflips to try to convince someone about the integrity of it. Like, this is why some of these partnerships moving deeper in divine union right now are Capricorn partnerships, because the energy is going, what are you going to do? like this is the energy that goes, like, that's the shrug going, what are you going to do? Because that's the energy that says there's the things that we can control which are in the purview of what we hold sacred. And then there's the perceptions of those outside of partnership. And if that's the energy that says, if someone does not see something as energetically precious, if someone doesn't see our partnership as precious, it doesn't infect it, doesn't impact it, doesn't have an effect on it like that, because it doesn't have an effect on it the minute you don't care about it. And this is a lot of the energy that recognizes that healthy partnership is built on the prioritization of what you care about, right? So that's the energy that says it doesn't matter if someone else doesn't feel the same way I do, because my like, when we're in a place of integrity, when we're in a place of strength, we don't rest that desire upon another person's opinion. So a lot of this energy coming into that space of energetic maturity, right? But also like having a little bit of chagrin as they may remember those experiences in the past where they may have experienced something or felt something akin to what they may be experiencing as they move deeper into connection. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, this is like there's a lot of like brainstorming is what I'm seeing right now. Like, there's a lot of this energy here, like working, I want to say working stuff out, but that's because we see that a lot of this emotionality or a lot of this experience that we're having right now, it feels very much like the setting of energetic intention, you know? And I just, you know, it's interesting too, because I almost feel like a lot of this energy in divine union right now is just like, I keep getting like the warrior in repose. But why do we see that to a certain extent? Because a lot of that energy is going through a lot of contemplation right now. And for masculine and feminine, like a lot of that work is amplified and articulated in relationality to, like building into that context or that concept of identification of the self. And for masculine, this may be, again, if you're feeling a lot of this right now, masculine deep within divine union, a lot of that questioning of the self, saying, who am I, right? Why do we see that? Because a lot of that energy is kind of seeing things from outside perspectives at this time. But again, what happens when we're healing the egoic shield, right? That moment or those modalities of being able to see things from others' perceptions, it can be amplifying, but it can also bring forth a lot of like those questions of the self, right? So I feel like there's a lot of that masculine energy navigating that gravitas. While for feminine, this may be more in like that space of saying to oneself, this is who I see myself to be, and this is who I am not. And that's the energy that, again, amplifies and articulates, again, as it relates to letting go of the illusion of surrender, of the illusion of rejection, right? This is the energy here. I see that there's a lot of this energy deep within divine union that doesn't feel like they necessarily need to prove something to another. Rather, they're working in the context of proving something to the self, right? Center card for today's spread. Come on. King of Swords in its upright. So there's, the one thing I want to say about this right now, there's a lot of work happening right now in the pathwork of integrity. As I like go to knock this, like hit the mic. And what do we mean when we speak towards integrity? We work in that space of identify. Integrity effectively means the clear perception of sight inwards. The perception of sight that goes inwards, right? We're really good at the perception outwards, but integrity is the ability to see one's own self with clarity. And that's why I keep seeing right now, like, what's hard about some of this work right now that we've been talking about is, for those that might not necessarily be experiencing this, may just kind of be moving with the currents of the emotionality without so much introspection. I would not be surprised if you're maybe experiencing some like volatility, as it were. from energy. And we got to be careful right now about this. Energy getting real righteous. Like this is right. Righteousness is like a no-no, right? Like, because righteousness is the amplification. What does righteousness mean? Righteousness, it comes in the space of saying there is nothing that I need to learn, right? Righteousness. like righteousness is saying there's nothing that can be taught. There's nothing that I need to be perceptive of, right? And this is why we talk about the fact that whenever we're in any context, whenever we're doing anything, we should always be very, very wary about the difference between integrity and righteousness. Why? Because integrity can explain itself. Okay? Integrity can explain itself. Like the higher self deeply likes to talk about things. The higher self is like, can you sit down? I would love to unpack this with you, right? Like the higher self would just like to be a little chatty Cathy about everything all the time. The ego doesn't want to explain anything. The ego doesn't want to ever talk about anything. The ego just wants to feel the things they feel. They want to do the things they do. They want to have the things they want, right? And so again, a lot of that ability, like again, what have we been talking about here? Should we just exist in the higher self space? No. Should we just exist with the egoic in the ego? Absolutely not, right? We are the meeting point between these two places. So a lot of that work that we effectively see right now, operating in a state of integrity, right? This is that inward, this is that eye that we cast inwards. It's the ability to look upon something within the self and introspect upon it, right? So we see even now, that's why like I just keep seeing like this is a lot of that energy that like I either see is in like having that moment of introspection, working in that context, or it's having to deal with situations or circumstances outside the self where someone is operating more in that space. And it's not easy, right? Like we're just seeing this here. This is like a lot. There's a lot of this, like, and I got to tell you right now, this is a little bit of this, like, this is a little bit of that back and forth here. Like these two cards, like this is what I mean about energetic warrior energy, right? Because this is what we see. What is usually an indication of a warrior? Is a warrior someone that always desires to fight in any context? No, right? The honorific of warrior is someone who has fought. The honorific of warrior is someone we give to someone who has experienced the wisdom of lessons, of battle, right? And so we see even now that a lot of that energy working in that context, this isn't the energy that comes into that context. And this is what we talk about with when working into that space of energetically surrendering. We accept the circumstances outside of ourselves that is beyond our own purview to change. And we activate upon the spaces and places that we know are within our purview, right? So there's a lot of this work that we're seeing right now. And the one thing I like about this spread so far is with the Magician here, the Ace of Swords and the King of Swords, a lot of this, like, this is like a little of this, like, stop crying energy. Like, I gotta tell you, I mean it with all the love in my heart. It's a little bit of that, like, you know, and this is what happens, right? Like, often when we're on a healing journey, it feels indulgent to feel sorry for oneself, right? Because feeling sorry for oneself doesn't get anyone anywhere, you know? Like, it doesn't get, it's like, it feels indulgent. Like, it's great, right? Like, it feels good to feel sorry for the self, right? It feels awesome, you know? Like, you know, it's like, you know, it's like, you know, and again, that's why I see even now, if this is the energy, and this is also like, again, like a lot of that emotionality navigating right now with the Cancer full moon. Like, that's why I keep seeing everybody's like, I can always see the energy being like, I'm giving myself 5 minutes. Like, I'm giving myself 10 minutes, like setting little timers to feel the things that you're going to feel, because this is the energy that says like, okay, like that's not helpful. It's not productive, right? Doesn't move one towards a manifestation goal. Right. So, but this is also the energy trying to deal with the surge of emotionality, like that wave, like here comes the wave of the Cancer full moon, like woof, coming forward. Right. And what do we do? What do we do Like, what do we do when we're trying to navigate a big wave? We ride it, right? We let ourselves feel it. What you ever tried to stand against a big strong wave? What happens? You end up in worse like but again, that ability of doing so, this is why I see, and across the frequencies right now, this is the energy that says that often when we come into that context of understanding, again, what is outside of our purview to change, the wave, what is in our own purview to control, the self, this is how we ride waves, right? Like we find that strength. It's a strength of surrender, right? And that doesn't mean you give up. Like when a big wave comes, you don't just fall into the water. you know, you let yourself move in accordance to it. So this is a lot of that energy right now. Continuing to get clarity between the fourth and fifth cards of our 5-card spread before we start getting clarification. We have here our 4 of Cups in its upright. In combination, in combination with our 5 of Swords in its upright. And the thing about this, oh my goodness, like this is that little like needling energy that we're feeling right now. Nobody's allowed to be hard on themselves right now. And I'm going to say this again. I don't know if you have been listening to me, okay? If you are having some kind of like deeply, deeply profound insight at this time, if you're just having one of those like real gobstopper of a moment in terms of something in your past that you can see that you couldn't see prior to this point, let me just be your daily reminder to tell you, hindsight is both clear and it's faulty. There are some things we can only see in the context of the present. It's like you cannot experience, if you are in the woods, you cannot see the shape of the forest. Like there's a lot of that here. And so for a lot of this energy that we're experiencing, I got to stress this right now, working through that framework can sometimes create moments like, and I feel like, again, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want anybody right now getting caught up in some kind of analysis paralysis over stuff here, right? I see like a little bit of this energy getting like a little bit like, like a little bit like anxious or like working through a lot of these anxiety points. I need to stress this. Intentionality. When you're feeling that sense, right? I want your intention to guide you, right? Because look, I want you to recognize too, to a certain extent, we can never foresee, right? We can never foresee the actions of our circumstances. There's a certain level or degree that everything is always out of our hand, right? We see this in some context. So for a lot of that work in navigating that space, how do we go forward? We allow our intention, right? And then we ask ourselves for the clarity of perception, right? And again, moving away from any of those feelings of righteousness to a certain degree, moving away from any of those spaces or places wherein we feel that there is absolute certainty. Because when we move towards things from the space of being a constant student, when we allow for that sense or that sensibility of understanding that there's always something more to learn or always some greater way to grow, like this is how we allow that to be a space of healing, right? Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, a lot of this work that we're seeing right now in separation, this is the contemplation I see that's happening for a lot of that energy in separation. I can see the energy saying, well, what if it happens again? To which I'm going to say, are you the same person? Are you the same person? Are you the same person that had their trust broken? Are you the same person who would make the energy, if you're holding regret, like you're not that person anymore, right? So we see even now, what is the gift that we see that a lot of this energy is doing right now in separation? Recognize one another. The gift of contemplation is the gift that the energy in separation is bringing forth to one another. Is this the energy that says, oh, I don't know what happened, man. I've just had this perfect life and just bad things happen all the time. Like, no, like, this is the energy that says these are the things that occurred in my path work. These are the things that were inside of my own boundaries to control. Here are some things I would have done better. Here are some things someone else did that were worse, right? Like having a lot of that ability to navigate with that sense of like, and this is not the energy that looks towards their past with a sense of shame, right? This is the energy that holds their past as energetically sacred, because why would you hold the past in a place of shame where all of your lessons came from, right? This is the book that we carry forward. And are there mistakes in that book? Always, right? Have you ever seen a good homework book? Have you ever seen a good homework book? Right? It's filled with places that you cross out, you mark up, you go, oh, look at that. I was working, trying to work something out there. Boy, was I off the mark, right? We come into those spaces and we hold ourselves in a space of preciousness for that journey. And so I see even now, like a lot of that beauty, like there's a bit of, this is some of that Cancer full moon energy that's starting to enter some of these new connections that are forming, right? This is the energy that says, I hold that painful past gently. I hold it with a sense of compassion, because that is not the past that I'm trying to flee from. That is the path that has led me here, right? And so a lot of that energy, honoring that journey, that is the energy that, again, if you have scars on that journey, this is the energy that doesn't try to hide those scars. This is the energy that says, those were hard, those were won in battle. These are the badges that I have on those spaces and places that allowed for that energy of kind of working towards peace, you know? Now, for feminine energy, this is the energy that says, again, if this is the feminine that says, I've been wounded in times that I have trusted, this is the energy that says, I refuse to take from that lesson that it is wrong to trust, right? I refuse to take that is wrong to trust. That trust is never a failure point, discernment is. And this is the feminine that says, I look back towards my past as a map to help me recognize when I might not necessarily be utilizing the discernment necessary as it relates to trust, right? And this is the masculine that goes forth and says, this is a journey where I see those moments potentially where, again, I allowed the ego to take the wheel. I went on that journey. I wasn't so much moving in contemplation of the inner child or the higher self. I was more concerned with what others desired of me. I was more concerned with what I thought it meant to be a masculine. I was more concerned with what another person taught me was the pathwork that I had to follow. And so I see a lot of this masculine saying, I don't hold myself in a place of energetic sadness or shame if that journey took me places I did not desire it to go. I let that be the compass that orients me. And I recognize that that compass is inside the self. And as long as I'm moving in accordance with alignment to my higher self and my inner child, right? The energy that knows what is right versus the energy that desires the things that it desires, I know that compass will lead me towards my divine feminine counterpart, right? Because what are these energies saying in separation? I know if I feel like something, you are not exceptional. You are not the only one. We are all precious and we are all insignificant. So this is the energy that says, I know I am not unique in that desire, right? And so that ability of doing so, this is how that energy moves forward and finds those energetic connections. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, I just keep seeing that a lot of this energy right now coming into divine union, it's based upon and built upon, like, this is the energy that, again, I feel like a lot of grief being let go here. I see a lot of this frustration, a lot of this sadness, because I just keep seeing that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, bringing something into a more tangible space. This is why often when we come into divine union, we don't necessarily just feel the joy and excitement of accomplishment. We feel that gut drop of severity as it relates to the fact that we have changed. And when we change, why do we call something sacred? Because again, we mourn the past version of ourselves while also celebrating who we found along the way, right? When you come into divine union, it's often characteristic to feel that bittersweetness, right? Because this is a lot of the energy that feels the weight of when we see something from a different way, we recognize we can never go back to the way we were before we saw something the way that we do. And this is the energy that holds that with both grief and joy, because that's how we hold something energetically sacred, right? For masculine, it is understanding and recognizing. And this is a masculine. This is not, again, if this is the energy that went through that journey of feeling the energy outside of partnership that tries to question something that you know is sacred, this is the energy that feels that confidence of self to say, I know what is energetically sacred. I know what is for me. My perception is not one that is affected by those around me, right? So there's a lot of this masculine that feels like they're coming into that maturation process in relationality to what it feels like to have integrity, the vision that turns inwards. While for feminine, it's more of that energy of energetic surrender. A lot more of this, like I want to say, this Ace of Swords, right? And its reversal. Because this is the energy that recognizes and realizes that path work, finding that, we can't bring that forth in someone. We can hold our energetic standards. We can't pull someone along on our journey. They either want the things that they want or they don't. Because you can have that thing you want, right? You can have that thing you want with that person. But if someone is not willingly ready to step into that with you, they will always perceive it as something that they have given up. They will always see it as a form of surrender, right? They will always look at it as something that they were energetically forced to do instead of something that they desired to do. This is why we see that for a lot of the feminine energy, recognizing, again, that sense of desire or willingness as it relates to an energetic partnership, a maturation of masculine that comes into that point that they desire the same things as you do. This is why that feels so energetically vital and important, because this is the feminine that says, when I try too hard, right? When I move too much in accordance of that, like, yes, again, this is the journey of Pluto and Capricorn. You can have whatever you want, but is it going to feel the way you want it to feel? Is it going to be the way that you want it to be? So a lot of this work is recognizing and identifying that. And so we see even now, like, this is a lot of that energy that feels that sense of maturation as they move into an energetic point of harmony, wherein again, they're both putting that work in. They're building it with their own two hands. This is why these energies right now moving deeper into divine union are more of that Capricorn energy, because they're like, we've made this ourselves. For a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, there's a lot of work that we're seeing at this time in relationality to unpacking the past. I just see a lot of this energy here. And it's beautiful because it's bittersweet, but this is the energy I keep seeing. Again, warrior energy, making peace with the past, releasing anything that one would change, surrendering into that context. But again, building into that sense of not dwelling in a space of resignation, right? This is that sense of, again, building into, I want to say, and this is what's important too, you have to recognize, and this is what's very interesting, conviction is also in alignment to surrender, because when we feel the energetic conviction forth towards something, we recognize and identify what is within our power to change, right? Like, this is the energy I just keep seeing that doesn't dwell in a space of sadness, because sadness just doesn't get things done, right? It feels good, right? It feels good. It feels great, but it's not practical. Continuing to get clarification between our Magician card in its upright, our Five of Cups in its reversal, and our Ace of Swords in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? One card, please. Come on. Oh, ooh, just having it's the Cancer full moon. Cancer full moon's got lots to say right now, right? Look, this is the energy here. What does sadness do? Not much. It doesn't. It's not productive, right? It's not helpful. There's no reason or cause to dwell within it, right? Because what does sadness articulate, right? I see even now a lot of this energy working through energetic sadness and remembering that when we feel sadness, it's because there's a certain way we expected or anticipated a manifestation goal to come forth, right? It's hard when we have those moments. We feel that sense of energetic disappointment. But again, what do we recognize and understand? that when we move into a space of sadness, right, we get into that space of being myopic in relationality to what we expect to happen and how we expected something to energetically occur. When we come into that space of hopefulness, what we basically say is we say, universe, I must have been looking in the wrong direction. It's not that it's not happening, but maybe I was looking, maybe I was focusing in the wrong place. Maybe I was casting my eyes in the wrong direction, right? So building into that context, working through that modality, allowing that to be a space that we don't dwell in that place of resignation, but we open our eyes to the possibilities. This is just your daily reminder. If you're feeling a lot of this emotionality right now that's coming through with this Cancer full moon, I don't want you looking down. I want you looking up. I don't want you feeling like this is like those limitation points. I want you coming into that space of feeling the presence, of accepting the circumstances that you find yourself in, and allowing that to be that aspect or perception of guiding your path forward at this time. And I know that's heavy. I know that's the easiest and the hardest thing to do, right? But this is why we see even now, like this is why we keep getting the messages that during this Mars retrograde, this is the energy of the warrior, right? The warrior does not wait for perfect circumstances. The warrior does not wait for perfect situations. The warrior accepts what they find where they are and makes the best of the energetic situation, right? And a lot of that here, again, getting clarification. And that's happening across all of the frequencies. For masculine and feminine energy, in separation, this is a lot of that energy that, again, feeling the weight of the past. This is the energy that says, I refuse to become cynical, because when I become cynical, I assume that the past can only repeat itself, and so it will be. This is the energy that says that path work, that manifestation. If I have not found it yet, there's only one direction that it must be. It's not here in the present, right? It's not here in the past. I got to go look for it that way. It's around the corner. It's down the horizon. I got to keep moving in that direction, right? For a lot of this energy right now coming into divine union, if someone doesn't see something the way that you do, you don't go chasing after them to try to change their view. You say, listen, I hope the day comes. I hope the day comes that you see something the way that you do, the way I do. I hope that we can share that perception one day, right? So a little bit of this energy, putting some distance here, but that distance is feeling like a grand act of compassion. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, this is a lot of that energy or work that we're recognizing and facilitating upon that speaks towards a lot of this work as it relates to the identification of the self. It's not easy, right? It's difficult. It's hard. It's bittersweet, right? This is a lot of this energy here about both like masculine and feminine working on the same things, right? And a lot of the masculine energy right now building into that sense of energetic integrity. A lot of the feminine energy working in that space of, again, working through, letting go of any energetic regret, right? Both of these energies healing along the way. Clarification between our Ace of Swords and its reversal and our King of Swords and its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with the Empress. Oh, I like these two together. I like this energy together. This is good. There's a lot of, I need to stress this. And this again, I gotta say, there's a lot of this work that we see that is being navigated right now. Specifically in the realm, and we're going to start with the energy deep within divine union, because a lot of this energy here is feeling the sense of being energetically firm within the self. For a lot of that, they're saying a lot that a lot of this energy right now of feminine is coming through via the heart space. There's a lot of this energy that we see to a certain extent that is the feminine working on those, I want to say working on new, they're saying it's new perceptions of compassion, right? And a lot of this feminine energy, I feel like a lot of the feminine energy is working on that recognition that compassion should not require, this is important. It's a passion that does not require self-sacrifice, right? Because this is the feminine energy that articulates and says the compassion that we give to others should also be one that we extend to ourselves in the process. Like, and again, a lot of especially because first directive of spirit is always taking care of the self so that you can take care of those around you. So this is a lot of the energy of the feminine that vacillates between that sense of, again, this is the feminine energy that says when I hold standards, I'm not being dispassionate. This is a feminine energy that says when I hold energetic standards, I extend that compassion to myself in the process, right? And for masculine, this is a lot of the masculine that's working in that context of recognizing and identifying the space of the self, right? And this is a lot of the masculine that's working through. I see a lot of the masculine working through a lot of this self-defeating negative talk on the self, right? And this is just your daily reminder right now. If you're masculine energy going through a lot of that questioning of the self or doubting your own ability, I want you to remember right now, perfection is an illusion. It is a beautiful aspiration, and when we move towards perfection, if we're doing it right, we always feel like we're failing. We always feel like we're failing. Because perfection is a dream that we reach for. And when we will always miss that. But in the attempt to reach for it, we succeed. So we see even now that there's a lot of this energy going through a lot of that path work. And being gentle and kind to themselves in the process. Now for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union. This is a lot of that energy that, again, I just keep on hearing the energy saying, if you don't like it, we don't care. And I mean that. I have to stress this. I mean, the energy means that with every ounce of love and compassion in their heart space. Why do we see a lot of this energy moving forward in that way, feeling like that? Because again, when we are truly in a sacred energetic connection, you really couldn't give a flying fig what other people think about it. Because it's not something that you're doing for effect. It's doing it because you're energetically affected, right? It's a lot of that energy that says I'm sorry. And again, sorry you feel like it's a shrug. It's like the magician that goes it's a shrug because it's it doesn't, it's sad, right? It's upsetting. But this is the energy that also says they don't understand. And this energy goes, I hope they understand. I deeply hope the day comes that they're able to understand. But this is the energy that says that they don't need to hold their breath on it because this isn't the energy that waits for another person's approval to move deeper into divine union, right? While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within, in separation, look at these two. Look at these two warriors right now. Told you, warrior energy, right? This is feminine that says, I am learning to trust because I am protecting my heart. A heart that can trust is a heart that is healing, even in those wounds, even in those places where it's been violated. This is the feminine energy that says, I will never stop fighting for my heart. I refuse to believe that trust is a failure point because this is the feminine that says, I know, look, you see this? This is a feminine that moved forward with the wish in their heart that says, I know there is masculine energy with integrity. I am not the only one. And this is a feminine that says, my ability of keeping the energetic hope alive is how I find them. And for the masculine, this is the masculine that says, I know that if I am in my authenticity, if I am in my integrity, there is a feminine out there that finds me beautiful in that. That's not the masculine that says, doesn't mean I won't try, right? But I am a work in progress. I am a work in progress, and I know that there is a feminine out there that will see that work in progress as a masterpiece. And so even now we see that these are the energies coming into connection, continuing to get clarification between our King of Swords and its upright. And these partnerships right now, man, stand back. Look at these two. Stand back. Strong, strong stuff right there, man. Continuing to get clarification between our King of Swords in combination with our Four of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification. Emperor in its reversal. And I want to just show you this right now. You see what we're seeing here that's so... Look at this. Look at this lesson, masculine. Look at this energy. When I stop trying to control everything, I become strong. When I recognize what moves me off of alignment from myself, I become strong. When I recognize what is outside of my energetic control, I become strong. It's not about how much energetic control one has. It's about being able to identify and recognize the self in the process. So this is a lot of the masculine that says the greatest gift that I can have in my embodiment of masculine energy is knowing who I am. Knowing who I am, knowing who I am not. Right? And this is, again, a lot of the masculine energy saying, I know that there's that part of me that's always kind of saying, you could pretend to be like this, and then that way the energy, like, they'll like you more. You could pretend, and this is the masculine that says, why would I try to come into that context of being something that I'm not? Because if I move towards feminine, being something that I'm not, then feminine does not fall in love with me. They fall in love with an illusion. They fall in love with an illusion I create. And then I feel that illusion separates me from feminine every day from that day hence. That every day feels like that work of putting up that mask and having to be in that space. So this is the masculine that says, I free myself of that mask. I free myself of that energetic need to allow for the ability to, again, be seen and in the same moment to see. Because when we do not operate from the state of the ego, when we don't spend all of our time worrying about how others perceive us, what does it allow us to do? It allows us to see the world around us, right? But if we're constantly focusing, constantly fixated, constantly rattling, oh no, what are they thinking about me? What are they thinking about me? What are they thinking about? What do they think about that? What if I did that? What if I did that wrong? All of that power, all of that energetic force spent on worrying about the self instead of extending forward and being perceptive as it relates to those around you. So there's a lot of this energy that says, I do that both for myself and for my feminine counterpart because this is how they are going to find me. I am not perfect. I am a work in progress that the feminine will identify and see as a masterpiece. While for a lot of that feminine energy, this is a lot of the feminine energy that says, I do not require perfection from a masculine. In fact, when I see perfection, I start to worry because I know that has to be an illusion. Like, this is a feminine. Like, this is the feminine that goes, if it's too perfect, I know it has to be an illusion. Right? We see even now that a lot of that feminine energy is in that context. And this is the feminine energy that says, I can feel it. I can feel when they're putting up that false sense. It gives me the biggest fear possible when I feel like that facade is up because I don't know what's behind it. This is the thing masculine needs to understand. Feminine knows. Feminine can feel it in their heart. The healed feminine can feel when you're energetically faking the self. They can smell it on the wind. They say, that's not them. Who the heck is this person? Who the heck is this person? Who are you? Right? So this is the feminine that says, I know, and I know that there's that masculine out there. I know my masculine out there is doing that work, working their tail off to become in their authenticity. And I know it's the hardest thing for them to do. I give compassion when I see it. I know how hard it is to take that down. I know that energy has had to spend a whole life being told that they need to pretend to be someone they're not. Right? This is a feminine that says, I have to trust that they're out there because I know that they are. I know that there's that masculine energy that wants the same thing that I do. And so we see even now, these are these two energies, and this is why they're warrior energies, right? Feminine, all of their strength to find confidence. Masculine, all of that work to take off that mask. Look at these counterparts together. This is what it feels like. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the masculine that says, I don't need to prove anything to anybody. Look at this masculine. Look at this masculine king. Look at this masculine king. What does the masculine king say? Bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. What does the masculine king say? I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I need to prove it to myself. Right? That's our masculine king. What does the feminine queen say? We've got the feminine queen here saying again. This is a feminine that says, I do not need to be energetically perfect. Towards my masculine energy, my flaws become facets. Does that mean that I dwell in the space of just accepting them? No, what do you do with the flaw? What do you do with a flaw? You make it shine. This is the feminine that says, I embrace the parts of me that I cannot stand. I recognize that they need work. I got notes. We all got notes. All got notes. What are we going to do? We're going to make it shine. We're going to polish those facets. This is the feminine that says, I am a mess. I am a beautiful mess. I'm polishing those facets. I embrace myself, and I find the energy of the masculine that, again, loves me in that way, and I see that they are also a beautiful mess. This is how we heal. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, a lot of that same energy that we're seeing here, continuing to get clarification between our Four of Cups in its upright and our Five of Swords in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Star card in its reversal. Jeez Louise, the gang's all here. Look at this. Okay, let's work through it. I got to tell you right now, masculine and feminine energy right now are in like deep alignment, but there's like a lot like, blah. Okay, how to explain this? There's a lot of work right now. Like, how do I explain this in the way that's best? Like, a lot of this has to do with the perception of the self in relationality to how others perceive us. There's a lot of this work right here. I'm telling you right now. I keep hearing like a lot of this energy across the frequency saying, your perception of me is not my responsibility. Your perception of me is not my responsibility. Because why? Because again, when we are moving in a context, right? When we're moving in a context of like working towards the self, it's frequently, and this is a lot of the feminine energy recognizing this, like when feminine energy is moving on the pathwork of self, it's going to feel like a lot like you're just disappointing everyone around you left or right. Right? Like this is a lot of the feminine energy, like works in that context of just having to navigate. Like this is the empathy that a lot of the masculine recognizes when it comes to the correlation between the journey of masculine and feminine, right? Masculine energy being iconoclastic, moving against the grain. Ooh, look at them go! Oh my gosh, good job! Oh, look at you! So we're such a champion, right? Feminine energy, same exact thing. What are you doing? I didn't really want to, that's not very you of you, That's not really what I expected of you. That doesn't seem very much like that illusion or that illusory space of what I anticipated that you would do. Really? Oh, I wish you hadn't done that. Right? A lot of that questioning that comes back, a lot of that work, a lot of that picking apart, right? While masculine, go for it, do what no one else is doing, right? So we see even now that for a lot of this energy, this is what happened. This is what's happening right now for a lot of that energy deep within divine union. This is why we see that these energies are working through the same energetic lessons in different ways, right? And a lot of it, this is why we see that a lot of the feminine energy goes through those experiences of navigating sacred rage. Why does the feminine energy navigate sacred rage? Because when feminine energy looks at masculine and says, how come when you do it, you get a parade, right? How come when I do it, I'm doing something energetically wrong? How come when you do it, you get celebrated for going against the grain, right? How come when I do it, another person says you're rubbing me the wrong way, right? So we see even now that this is a lot of that energy deep within divine union, working through a lot of that work. It's frustrating. So often for a lot of the masculine energy coming into that place of vulnerability, it feels tender, right? It feels like that weakening. And also, again, the perception of the masculine, seeing that perception, recognizing that journey for the feminine, it's heartbreaking, right? Because even here we see the fact that the counterparts, it's hard to give advice to one another because something And this is what we see even now. Like I see a lot of that energy in the perception or the perspective of looking towards one another and saying our journeys must be in alignment, but they cannot be always the same, necessarily in the same way, because this is the dissimilarity that occurs within those contexts, right? And navigating some of that frustration, navigating some of that unfairness, right? Working through a lot of that. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This is why I see a lot of this energy is like they've got the wrong perception, right? Because if these are the energies where, again, they're moving something into a deepening energetic connection because they fixed something, because they've healed something, and others around them are saying, I wish you weren't doing that. Really? Them? This is the energy that says, your perception upon them is not what I see. Your ability to see something is not what it is for me. So we see even now that a lot of that energy facilitating upon that work, recognizing and identifying those processes. This is the energy that, again, the clarion call for the energy coming deeper into divine union is, I really don't care what you have to say about it, right? Like, because that's the energy that says that the sense of sacredness that we create in partnership is not conducive upon another person's perspective of it, right? Well, for a lot of this energy right now in separation, this is what I keep seeing right now. This is the more of the feminine energy. Like, look at this. Look at these energies today. Feminine. Never was I so brave than to do the thing that where I had my trust broken in the first place. Never was I so brave that I stepped forward into the same fray where I experienced those wounds, right? And this is the energy that says, I will not proceed afraid. I will not allow the fear of the past repeating itself to cloud my clarity going forward. Because when I move in that space of being too afraid to heal, I prevent the ability to find what I'm looking for. While for masculine, this is the masculine saying, I'm doing everything I can to take off my armor at a moment that I desire to put it on. That every time I try to put up a false sense of self towards feminine, all I'm doing is making the feminine fall in love with an illusion. I want to be able to have an authentic connection with feminine, so I embrace my authenticity. I embrace those parts of me, and it doesn't mean that I don't stop trying. I don't say, this is me, take it or leave it. This is the masculine that says, I'm aware of my flaws. I articulate upon them, because by being able to recognize my flaws, I protect the feminine, because my self-awareness is the greatest gift I can give to a feminine, because I say to them, as I can see myself, you are safe with me. I have no blind spots. Continuing to get clarification between our 10 of cups in its reversal in combination with our hanged man in its reversal in combination with our empress card in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our 7 of pentacles in its reversal. It's frustrating right now. Just going to be honest. It's frustrating, right? Not ideal. Not ideal is the word of the day. When has it ever been ideal? When has it ever been energetically ideal? It's never ideal. It's never ideal. But again, it's not about waiting for something to become energetically ideal. The day of change is the day that you choose to be that force of change. It's the day that you make that step. And so I see even now, like I can see a lot of this energy right now in separation, looking towards themselves and saying, this is the energy that says the first step is always the hardest step, right? This is the energy that says when we move in the directionality of what we want, it usually is begrudging. We usually hate it. Like in order to move towards the things we desire, we usually have to do something that we don't like doing. But this isn't the energy that says I'm not doing something I don't want to do. This is the energy that says I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, right? And the thing is, I got to tell you, the only thing about the only thing about this Cancer full moon, like Cancer's real cozy. Cancer's real cozy. Cancer doesn't like stepping out of their comfort zone. So I see even now, like, this is the energy going, I hate this. I hate it. Like, I hate it. But it doesn't have to do anything with, and like, it doesn't have to do with how you feel about it. This is why we keep saying, like, when it's not ideal, you let your intention guide you, right? When it's not ideal, what do? Do you dwell in it? Do you dwell and just sit there and go, it's not ideal? It's not ideal. No, you say, I guess I got to go marching in the direction of the ideal. I got to move towards what I know is energetically ideal. And it's rigorous and it stinks. Right? Right? So we see even now, like, a lot of that energy pushing against their own envelopes to be able to come into that space. But again, taking those maps of the past with them as they go. Continuing to, and for the energy right now coming into divine union, this is the energy that says they don't see what we see. If someone, and again, this is the energy that, again, moves away from energetic connections. If someone says, I don't see what you get, I don't see what you see in them. I don't see what you're getting out of that. This is the energy that says, well, it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter what you, it doesn't really matter what your perception is. Because this is the energy that says when you reach a level of maturation and another person's opinions, like, it's, you know, like, you leave the ability for them, right? You take the energetic note. But if this is the energy that's built into a context where they know it's sacred, this is the energy that says it's fine. You can have, like, it doesn't, like, these are not egoic connections here, right? These are not energies that are doing something because they look good on paper. This is the energy that literally feels like they have healed something on a profound level. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, this is just the Mars retrograde having its due. You know, and the thing with some of this Mars retrograde energy is, like, not, like, the feeling of not knowing what's going to happen, but also the fact that the confidence goes like this. So sometimes you feel really hopeful, sometimes you feel dread, hopeful, dread, hopeful, dread. It's a lot of that. But again, the one thing I will say about this is I feel like, again, this is going on until, like, February 23rd. So this is like getting, like, this is a little bit of that exhaustion on the energetic ride. Continuing to get clarification between our Empress card in its upright in combination with our Emperor in its reversal. This is important here. Can I get one card to clarify? Whoo-hoo! I am so happy to see this card in its upright. Oh my goodness. Thank you. I'm very happy to see that card in the upright because that was our bottom of the deck yesterday. Right? A lot of working through right now on unhealed karmic connections. Right? That's why we had the Six of Cups with the bottom of the deck. And, you know, the thing about this, you know, and I keep seeing that this has to do also with energy outside of partnership as well, right? Because, like, a lot of this energy here, I told you, what is feminine doing? Identifying new ways of being energetically compassionate, right? What's masculine doing? Recognizing and identifying what's within one's own power to affect versus what feels like it would move you in the context of being out of alignment with the self. So for feminine energy right now, like, a lot of this work that we're seeing, like, everything I keep getting is the fact that, again, it takes two to heal, right? If one person is not in a space of wanting to heal and another person is, then it creates an energetic imbalance, right? Because it requires one person to give and give and give and give and give, and the other person to just receive. And so I see even now, like, this has a lot to do with that feeling of energetic discomfort to a certain extent. Because for feminine energy, this is working in that context of recognizing and identifying, like, where, like, what feels energetically harmonious versus the feminine feeling that weight of, I want to say, this is a lot of the feminine energy processing the breadth of responsibility that is often put upon the feminine, right? Because if this is the feminine energy that's often doing that work and recognizing and identifying it, this is a lot of the feminine energy that feels that weight or capacity of responsibility to a certain extent that often feels energetically overwhelming, right? Like just that modality that this is the feminine says, even when the feminine is working in accordance of trying to do everything they can to create energetic harmony, there's always someone else around the feminine that says that they're not doing enough. There's always someone around the feminine that wants more of the feminine energy. There's always someone that takes it personally if the feminine does not have enough energetic compassion to give, right? So this is a lot of the feminine energy that, again, heals by recognizing and identifying that the energetic connections around them are not the ones that are always asking for more of the feminine. They're the feminines, like the feminine is expressing the fact that to be loved is to have someone honor one's own standards, right? Like this is the feminine that says the energy that is in alignment to me honors the standards in relationality to recognizing and having empathy for the weight that it takes for the feminine to approach the world in that context, right? While for masculine energy, we see that this is a lot of the masculine energy that's like via V, healthy energetic connection with feminine. This is a lot of the masculine looks towards feminine and says, I could not do the thing you do in the way that you do it, right? This is the masculine that says, when I try to heal an energetic connection, everyone thinks I'm doing miracle work. Like, this is the masculine that says, like, if I'm kind to someone, like, I am suddenly like, oh my God, it's amazing, right? Because this is the masculine that says, I'm celebrated in being energetically ruthless, right? Like, this is the masculine that says, like, when I'm in that context of saying, like, no, others are like, I respect you in that, right? Like, but when feminine says no, they're like, how dare you, right? So we see even now, like, this is a lot of the masculine and feminine deep within divine union that are appreciative of those energetic journeys and the fact that there are massive dissimilarities between. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is a lot of the energy that feels like they are moving towards the energetic connections that are supportive of partnership. Because this is just a recognition that, like, when you move deeper in divine union, others, like, often, and this is the thing, often masculine energy moves into divine union and people are, like, booing them along the way, being like, oh, you gave up. Oh, you've succumbed. And masculine being like, I get it now, right? When I pull my energy back from those that find me fun, when I pull my energy back from being, like, the energetic life of the party, when I move into a context where I start to be more responsible, yeah, everyone around you is going to go, boo, right? Thank you. No, yeah, it's going to feel like a boo, right? You're going to feel like a heel as you move into divine union. They're going to be like, be a lot cooler if you didn't. And this is the masculine that's like, yeah, I understand that. I'm not trying to be cool. I don't care about what others feel because I know where my healing comes from, right? While for feminine energy, again, a lot of that feeling, potentially navigating those spaces or places. This could be feminine energy, feeling like they're literally losing connections as they move deeper into divine union. And that's heartbreaking for feminine, right? That's the feminine, again, going through that moment of saying, like, that ability of the feminine coming into a space does not change them. But for these energies to move deeper in divine union and feel the changes outside of the self as they do so, profound, devastating, clarifying. Welcome to the full moon in Cancer, right? While for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this is how they're finding one another. Look at these two. Feminine, it took all the strength to trust after trust broken. Masculine, took everything I could to lower my armor. At a moment it felt like I should put it on. Instant connections, warrior energy. Continuing to get clarification between our Emperor card in its reversal and the Star card in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Swords, and it's upright. We've got that. Man, look at this spread today, man. All about the counterparts. Look at this. I just need to show you guys. And if you can't see the full spread, make sure that you head over to, if you go over to my Substack where the podcast lives, you'll be able to see the photo of this spread today. Because we've got our King of Swords in its upright, and we've got our Queen of Swords in its upright. We also have here our Empress card in its upright in combination with our Emperor card in its reversal. So we've got a lot, and we've got the Star card in its reversal with the Magician. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And okay, so and the best way I can describe this right now, this is why. Okay, this is how the full moon in Cancer is impacting the counterpart connections. Feminine, I would not be surprised right now if you're going through a lot of that energy around sacred rage, right? And why do we talk like let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about navigating sacred rage. What happens when we feel sacred rage? When we feel sacred rage, it is because the feminine presence recognizes the spaces and places of healing the inner child of the feminine, right? When feminine energy looks back on spaces and places where it feels like the feminine energy was encouraged not to have energetic standards, this creates a lot of these modalities of feminine being able to come into the space of feeling a lot of that feminine, that sacred rage, right? This is a lot of the feminine energy that becomes energetically protective, not only over around the self, but again, in a way of healing the inner child of the self, because this is a lot of that energy that goes into that space or goes into that path work wherein the feminine energy builds into that framework of feeling a lot of that surety, right? So we see even now like a lot of that feminine energy in that context. We effectively identify and recognize that this is a lot of the feminine energy right now that is feeling a lot of that courage, like a lot of that energetic bravery coming out of separation, moving towards masculine, because this is a feminine that almost says, I am being brave for my masculine counterpart that I know is out there and I know is energetically healing. While for a lot of the masculine energy right now, a lot of the masculine energy working in that same context, recognizing and identifying what it is that they desire, coming into that context of, again, this is the masculine that says, I need to be in my authenticity, and I know how difficult that is, and I know how hard that is. But this is a lot of the masculine also says, I know that there is a feminine counterpart outside of myself that sees me with those flaws and finds those flaws as facets, right? And this is a lot of that energy that remembers the things that we adore in one another isn't just our talents. Like when we look at the full sum of a person, we often love them in the place that they are most deeply flawed. You know, in the eyes of love, flaws are facets. And that's why we see even now that for a lot of this energy right now, both moving into divine union and deep within divine union, if another is either seeing someone moving into divine union and saying it's flawed, this is why the energy holds a lot of sacred rage around it, because it's the energy that says you're taking something that is precious to me and you are saying that it's flawed, not recognizing that it's a facet. And if this is the energy that's deep within divine union, this is a lot of that energy of, again, masculine coming into that modality of being able to be emotionally vulnerable, healing from those spaces wherein it felt like they couldn't, and feminine coming into those experiences or moments wherein the feminine is able to, again, work through a lot of that. And I see now a lot of that experience of the past, recognizing and identifying that work. What is the masculine saying on their journey as they continue to heal? I'm always on time. I am exactly where I need to be. What is feminine saying? I am getting stronger every day. Continuing to get clarification between our Eight of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Six of Cups in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification is Eight of Swords in its upright. So we're going to talk a little bit about this energy right now, because here's the thing about it. It's So the thing about this energy right now is, and it has to do with a lot of this amplification of Cancer, which is the fact that, like, I didn't like that. Is like, I'm telling you right now, like, the watchword is like, I didn't like that. Because, and here's the thing about it. It's like, I keep seeing that there's something that's happening right now. And I don't know why they keep getting, it has something to do with where Uranus is. I'm going to investigate that more when we come out of this. But there's a lot, and it has also to do, like, okay, so the best way I can describe this right now, okay, this is the thing that we have to be very conscientious of, okay? Because we had all of that clarity, okay, we had all that clear seeing from the Capricorn, like from the void new moon that we experience, right? Just all clear, and again, clarity of the past, right? So we've got a lot of clarity of the past that's happening right now, right? And then we've got a lot of this, like, overwhelming surge of emotionality. Like, so it's like the pullback and then like the big emotional surge of the Cancer moon. So a lot of this could suddenly be like a lot of unlocking of big feelings as it relates to some clarity in relationality to the past right now. So if you're feeling like that, again, I just need to stress, I want you to ground through it. I don't want your emotions to pull you back into a past that you can't necessarily change. Remember, the best place to put energy as it relates to something you feel about the past is in the present, right? Like, we don't go running on doors of the past trying to change things. We think about their impact on the present, okay? So be very focused on that right now, because I can feel like I just feel this like big uptick that's happening right now across the frequencies in being like, thinking back on things right now and being like, just feeling like these waves of emotions on them. Like, it's the vibe right now. Okay. It's the vibe. Continuing to get clarification between our Six of Cups in combination with our Queen of Swords in its upright. Can I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. Thank goodness. Because we have not seen this card in a while. Well, we had it yesterday and it was in its reversal. I want you to be patient right now. And I'm not, listen, the way I'm putting this right now is I'm not saying that the emotions that you're feeling on something right now are false. But I'm saying that there's a lot of emotions right now. There's a big amplification of emotionality that we're experiencing across all of the frequencies. So if you're feeling a moment right now, if you're feeling something, I want you to sit with it. Just sit with it. I'm not saying that you can't do something with it, but I'm saying give yourself a little bit of time, because again, what are we experiencing right now? We're getting a lot of this like back and forth in relationality to the confidence spectrum of the Mars retrograde. And then we're feeling a lot of these like uptick in emotions. So if something feels like a good idea, you can usually explain why. Like, the higher self always has a reason. And also remembering and recognizing that if it's a good idea now, it'll be a good idea in 5 minutes. Okay. Like, just like a lot of this energy right now, right? I got a lot of this egg energy, right? And what do we do with eggs? Well, we sit on them if we want something productive to come from it. And we throw them if we just want to get a lot of impact. So I want you to kind of think about that a lot right now with like what you're feeling. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? What is this emotion trying to address? And let that introspection guide your actions. Don't let the feeling itself impel you in directionality right now, because again, the one word of caution I would give with energy of this nature is it's easy to get carried away. Final card for today's spread between our Eight of Swords in combination with our Temperance card in its upright. Final card today is, we have here our Justice card in its reversal. So like a lot of this volatility, if you will, that we're experiencing has to do with the feelings of unfairness. recognizing and identifying that balance is something that we create. Balance and understanding balance. And a lot of this work that we're recognizing even now has to do, and whenever we see a lot of this justice card in its reversal, we often can get into it's a lot of that space of working through feelings of righteousness, right? And what does righteousness say? Righteousness says, I have a right to. Right? That's what righteousness says. Righteousness says, I have a right to. I have a right to. I have a right to. Integrity. Integrity says, I know what is right. Right? Righteousness is the eye we put outwards and we say, I know that what I see is what all that can be seen. Everything else around me is faulty. Integrity says, I question myself. I work through that path work. I identify where my perception may be flawed. So I want you to kind of navigating that right now is going to be, and there's a lot of emotional volatility as well. So I want you to think about that a lot today, especially if you're feeling energetically triggered. The difference between having a right to versus knowing what is energetically right. They often look the same, but they're very different, right? And usually the way you can tell the difference is being able to explain, being able to walk through it, not just saying because I can. Okay? Anything that says because I can is usually the ego, right? We've already talked about that. Final card, bottom of the deck for today's reading is 8 of Wands in its reversal. Here's the thing. On top of all of this right now, the commute, like the ability right now to be having completely different conversations with someone. It feels very like different wavelengths is what I'm getting. Like really, like I just see something that's happening right now that it almost feels like energy is like the kind of conversations where you're like, are you like, what are we talking about the same thing? Like you're not making any energetic sense because what's happening right now, right? What's happening? When we are in a place of talking, in a place of logic, and another person's talking from a place of ego, it can literally feel like you're having completely different conversations. Right? Because again, what does the ego want? The ego wants what it wants it, right? It operates in that sense of immediacy. It doesn't really take time to think things through. It's just navigating the base needs of something, right? The higher self coming into that space, working through, articulating, being pensive, like really coming into that space of like really identifying and recognizing and working through something, and so I see even now there could be because of some of this amplification right now that's occurring between the this emotionality that's occurring between this Cancer full moon, and it's going to get bigger, right? Like that feeling of navigating the frustration and another not understanding you or feeling like you're not being understood, or someone like, again, I almost have a lot of this energy saying to one another, like, are you intentionally not understanding me or do you not understand? Like there's something about like that work here. They're saying even now, like giving in that space of patience, don't match energy right now. Try to explain, slow things down if you're feeling the need to speed things up, right? Like don't get ahead of yourself, because I'm telling you even now, a lot of this like moon in Cancer energy, it's very easy to get carried away in the space of the emotions. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me today, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into our private readings for today. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who attended our recent class on the Strength card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, January 15th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Hermit card. If you would like to become a part of that class program, all you need to do is head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access to the full library church, the full tarot church, the full tarot church library, which is over 9 hours worth of material that is available to you as a subscriber. It is not necessary to catch up. I will be doing a recap in each and every class on what we've studied thus far, but the library is available to you when you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've learned thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to both the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're already joining us there, and I look forward to potentially seeing you at our next class. And if you are a subscriber to our TikTok, I would encourage you to head over to our subscriber-only Discord channel, because there you will find a very special coupon code that will give you an additional discount to that Substack subscription. Even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, services. I post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified as to any giveaway information. And speaking about giveaways, I want to thank the winner of our November giveaway. You can find it over on the newsletter prior to the most recent one we sent. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason. These classes are focused on whatever area of spiritual growth or personal development you are most invested in learning more about. And they can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.